The Spanish alphabet has the same 26 letters as English, plus one extra letter. Because the alphabet is more phonetic and consistent, the pronunciation will be different due to Spanish being a Romance language. The letters, their pronunciations, and spellings look like this: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, Ñ, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, or Y, Z. For the most part, all vowels and many consonants have the same sound as in English, but some letters deviate in pronunciation, such as G, J, and Y, which literally means Greek eye. Even so, Spanish vowels are simple and consistent, and they almost always sound the same. A, E, I, O, U. Unlike English, vowels do not change much, and this is why Spanish pronunciation is very predictable. Still, the sounds of the letters stay the same, because almost every letter corresponds to one sound, so this concept will be very simple to use. Now that we know the alphabet, we can continue with sound rules. The first rule to know is that some sounds may sound the same, like B and UB. Most of the time, the two are pronounced like a soft B, like in the words barco, vaca, barco, vaca. Because they're pronounced in the same way, they represent a voiced bilabial sound that varies between a hard, closed-lipped sound and a soft, airy sound, depending on their position in a word. The second rule is that the letters C and G can have hardness and softness. When the two letters are placed before A, O, or U, they have a hard sound, like in the words casa, gato, casa, gato. The sounds are K and G. However, when placed before E or I, they become soft, like in the words cena, gente, cena, gente. The sounds are S and H. The third rule is that H is always silent, so it will never be pronounced, like in the words hola, hablar, hola, hablar. The fourth rule is that J closely sounds to a strong H in English, which makes it a throaty sound, like in the words jamón, jugar, jamón, jugar. The fifth rule is a combination of letters, ch and y. When se and h combine, they produce the sound ch, ch, like in the word chico, chico. On the other hand, in most modern Spanish, double L makes the sound y, y, like in the word calle, calle. This combination acts like a single letter. Moreover, if we consider the letter y, it can function as a consonant or a vowel. In the word yo, y is a consonant, but in the word rey, y is a vowel, sounding like I, rei, rei. The sound mainly happens when ye is alone at the end of words or in the word I. What makes this letter special is that it can mean and, which is a conjunction. When used as the conjunction and, it's pronounced like the vowel I, like saying padre y madre, padre y madre. However, it will change to e before words starting with an E sound, and it's done to avoid repetition, like in the phrase padre e hijo, padre e hijo. The sixth rule is the extra letter we saw before, ñ, ñ. The sound of this letter is a voiced palatal nasal sound, similar to ñ in Kenyan, Kenyan. This letter is very common in many Spanish words, like niño, España, niño, España. The seventh rule is the difference of sounds in the letter R. This is an important rule because one can sound like a single soft tap, r, r, while the other is strongly rolled, r, r. As a result, the pronunciation can change the meaning of words, like pero, perro, pero, perro. The eighth rule is mainly based in Latin America, where the letter zeta is pronounced as a strong s sound, like in the word zapato, zapato. However, this is frequent in Latin America, and in dialectal regions, the sound is different, which is something I'll show at the end of the lesson. The ninth rule is that Q always appears with U, and it can be followed by E or I. However, the U will always be silent, like in the words queso, quién, queso, quién. The 10th rule is the combination of G and U. When such letters are combined with A, O, or U, they will make a hard sound, and the U will be pronounced, like in the word agua, agua. However, with E or I, the U is silent, like in the words guerra, guitarra, guerra, guitarra. In addition to this rule, Spanish has a way to force the pronunciation of the U in some words, and it's done by putting two dots over the letter U. This is known as diaresis, which forces the letter to be pronounced, like in the words ambigüedad, pingüino, ambigüedad, pingüino. After learning these rules, we have a good understanding of consonant sounds in Spanish. Now, we can take a look at accents, which are very important to know, because they emphasize stress in any word. In Spanish writing, they're called tildes, and they can change pronunciation and meaning. As a fun fact, 80% of Spanish words have natural stress that falls on the second to last syllable, only if a word ends in a vowel, n or s. Otherwise, stress will fall elsewhere, but still, it's important to understand the function of tildes. Such accents are used if a word breaks the normal stress rule, and they can appear on any vowel, like in the words sofá, sofá, café, café, día, día, corazón, corazón, útil, útil. This rule is better perceived in monosyllables, and context can distinguish the difference. Si, if. Si, yes. Tú, your. Tú, you. El, the masculine. Él, he. Overall, this is how the alphabet, its sounds, and its rules work in Spanish. Every word is pronounced as written, one letter equals one sound, with a few exceptions, and stress rules are predictable. However, we should not forget that Spanish pronunciation can vary in dialects, like in Spain and Latin America. So before concluding the lesson, we can see dialect differences in the Spanish-speaking world. In Spain, the letters zeta and se can sound like the English th before e or i, like in the words zapato, cena, zapato, cena. This dialectal distinction is mainly present in central and northern Spain, but in Latin America, the s sound is common. Zapato, cena. As a note, this difference is called ceseo, ceseo. Furthermore, in most of Spain and Latin America, double L makes ye, like in the word calle. In Argentina and Uruguay, the sound strongly deviates, sounding like sh or j. Calle, 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 calle. This difference is called yeísmo reilado or sheísmo. Another dialectal difference is the aspiration of s at the end of syllables. While pronunciation is mainly clear in regions like Mexico and Colombia, in coastal areas like the Caribbean, Cuba, and Puerto Rico, the aspiration of s becomes a soft breath. An example is los amigos, los amigos. In various regions, the pronunciation is simple, but in coastal areas, s is aspirated. Los amigos, los amigos. Another difference is in the letters G and J. While J always makes a J sound, the same sound is achieved when G is used with E or I. Here, the difference is in the harshness of the sound. In Spain, the sound is stronger and harsher, while in Latin America, it's softer. We can reuse some of the previous words. Gente, jamón, gente, jamón, gente, jamón, gente, jamón. In short, this is how different dialects affect the sounds that Spanish can make. And while the focus of this grammar is on Mexican Spanish, it's interesting to see the differences in sounds. Personally, I advise focusing on standard Latin American pronunciation because it's widely understood, but you can definitely learn other elements of different dialects. In most of the Spanish-speaking world, zeta and se are pronounced as s. Double L makes y, and the rest of the letters are pronounced simply and predictably.